We're gonna get our full-blown acceleration here at the Pathfinder. Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we're gonna be going over a 2022 Nissan Pathfinder in the SL package. First and foremost though, a huge shout out and thank you to Tim Daly Nissan here in Murray, Utah for giving me some time with this Pathfinder. Check out their inventory and link below. Let's get straight into the video. So under the hood we have a naturally aspirated 3.5 liter V6 that goes through a 9-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy is 21 around town and then 27 on the highway, with power outputs being 284 horsepower and then 259 pound-feet of torque. Now let's go over the front end of the new Pathfinder. So first off, if we start off with the hood, notice how you have this large flat surface here in the center, and then it kind of dips down here on the side. And this black paint actually accentuates the body lines very nicely so you guys can see them. And then coming down below, we've got these full LED lights. Look pretty crazy. Nissan's been doing some interesting stuff with their light design lately. I'm definitely a fan because it just looks unique, especially compared to other SUVs out there. And then notice we still have the giant Nissan smiley face grille, or rather the chrome accenting around the grille. And then I really like the Nissan logo, how they made this portion right here white with the lettering, and then around there's parking sensors here at the bottom. And then notice we've got our fog lights there on either side. And then I like just the overall design here at the very bottom, how they make that portion kind of have like a skid plate like appearance. And other than that, that is everything for the front end. Now coming on the side here, we've got 255mm tires wrapped around 18-inch wheels in the front and over in the rear as well. And then as for the design on the wheels themselves, I really like the look. So first off, notice that you've got the silver here kind of on the top, but then we have a metallic gray that the silver lies on top of, and I think overall it looks really good. And then also notice that the brake caliper has kind of been painted to somewhat matching color to the rest of the silver on it, so that looks good as well. And then notice we've got the plastic fender flares here all around, and then it continues there on the bottom portion. And it definitely creates some nice contrast because you've got that is in more of like a matte type finish, and then you have the gloss black on the rest of the Pathfinder, so I think that contrasts nicely. And look at that, we got crossbars there at the top, which actually makes it look pretty cool. Now popping here into the rear of the Pathfinder, first off, we've got some extra storage space just under that little area. And then notice here with the third row, we do have some cup holders here for the back passengers, which is another nice feature. But notice if the third row was folded up, this is the storage space you get with the third row folded down. You can see there's quite a bit of space back here. If you want to get the third row back up, just pull the strap right there and then pick up the headrest, and then guess what? There is a middle seat here for the third row. I'll just leave that one down right there so you guys can kind of see what it looks like when I pop into the third row. But yeah, that's pretty much everything for there. You can lock it, and then also, well, that's the button to lower it down, and wait for it. Now she's shut. Now let's finish things up here in the rear. So first off, I love the design here of the taillights and how that wraps around. Gigantic Pathfinder logo, so nobody's gonna mistake this for anything else. And then they did the same thing with the Nissan logo with the white coloration. Parking sensors at the bottom. And then I like the metallic trim here at the very bottom, kind of similar to what they did with the front with that skid plate type design. I think it looks good, gives it an off-roader type look, and that's for the rear. Now here's the door panel in the back. First off, we do get a sunshade here for the rear passengers. There's tons of leather here on the side of the door panel, and then down below where you're going to rest your arm. Massive cup holders because, well, that's what's important here in America. And then coming here to the seats, notice we've got really nice leather seats here. And then notice how they use the different types of leather. So you've got like the smoother leather here in the center, and then notice that you've got kind of like the rougher to touch leather, I guess, there on the side. And then cloth trim right here looks cool from a design perspective. And just gonna move that to the side so you guys can see what legroom is like back here. If you're wondering, I'm 6 foot, and yeah, even if I stretch up, fit here perfectly fine. There's the climate controls here in the rear, and then you've got a little charging area. And then of course, we do have an armrest with some more cup holders, but let's pop in the third row. So quick, if you guys don't know what happened, there's a button right here, you press that, and that moves the seat forward, and then I can kind of squeeze behind the seat here, and so you guys can imagine, judging by the track, the seat's gonna pop up here, so a little bit more on the cramped side with legroom, and then headroom. So headroom is fine. It's just legroom that is a little bit on the smaller side. And then you guys already saw earlier, but we've got the cup holders back here, all that fun stuff. And well, that's the third row. Let's go to the front. Now here's the door panel at the front. So again, we've got really nice leather trim here with the stitching that goes in the center portion, and then down below where you're gonna rest your arm. We've got all of our window controls here in this area with the mirror adjustments, and then notice the stitching continues there. And then here are the front seats. So similar design as the seats in the rear. So you've got the smooth leather with the rougher leather here on the side, and then the cloth trim on the very side. They are power adjustable. And then there's the pedals down below. And then notice we got that for the hatch. We'll go over this in just a little bit, but there's one more look before we pop in. Here's the steering wheel in the Pathfinder. First off, we've got the soft touch leather at the top and then all the way around to the bottom, and then you've got the nice stitching there in the center portion. We've got our adaptive cruise control here on the one side, controls for the center stack there. On the other side with your volume controls as well. Paddle shifters here on the back for that 9-speed automatic. Got the light slash turn signal stock, windshield wiper stock, and that's all for the steering wheel. Now here is the center gauge cluster. First off, you've got the analog gauges on either side, and then you have that screen there in the center, which you can scroll through a few different menus to see different bits of information here on the Pathfinder, like the audio information, information on the safety tech, all that fun stuff. Now, you guys notice that there was that steering wheel button, and that is for the steering assist. So notice it says only available with cruise control on, but basically it'll help steer the car for you when you're on the highway. Now here's the center infotainment system. First off, we're going to pop it into reverse. You guys can see the backup camera. Notice we have the backup camera. We also get a bird's eye view. There are trajectory lines that turn with the steering wheel. Now, aside from that, there is a camera button here, and if you press the camera button, notice that we have a view out the front. Again, trajectory lines, which that type of camera is super useful for parking, but then also for off-roading as well. And then notice we've got that side view, and then you can go full front view. Now, aside from the camera system, as for the infotainment system itself, response time on the infotainment system is great, pretty much instantaneous. You guys can see with all of the different functions, you just boom, happens right away. But it's cool that you have the shortcut buttons here at the bottom, but then you also have more shortcut buttons within the screen. So it's like they doubled down on the shortcut buttons, which is, I don't know, pretty interesting. But yeah, great infotainment system overall. Got our stop start button here at the hazard lights, and then notice we've got the dual zone here for the front. Remember, you've got that climate there in the rear, and notice you can control the rear climate with those controls right there. Heated seats, heated steering wheel on top of that. And then notice that down here in this area, we've got some extra storage space with some areas where you could charge some devices. And then I guess you could hold your phone right there. We've got the shifter here for that 9-speed automatic transmission, which is pretty easy to use. So you press the button there on the side and then push it forward for reverse, press it, and then pull it down. Kind of hard to do with my left hand because obviously this is made to be used with your right hand, and then just push that top button for park. So we've got our auto stop start here, our parking brake, our auto hold, and then we have our drive mode select right next to the cup holders, and then also hill descent control in the center. As for the drive mode select, that's actually going to pop up here in the center portion. So notice we've got our eco, we've got our sports, and our towing, and then on the other side you've got your auto, snow, mud, rut, and then sand. I like how easy it is to get in between the different drive modes. Like, it's super quick and super seamless. And well, that's all for that. Pathfinder right here in the center console, nice leather, and then opening that up you can see massive amounts of storage space, and then tons of nice leather here on the dash with the stitching. And then notice we've got the glove box, but there's actually a tray above the glove box for some extra storage space. Goes in relatively deep. And then something else that I want to mention is notice that the stitching is like in a perfect line, even though it's not connected, from the dash to the door panel. Up top here we've got a sunglass holder, and then notice that we've got a regular mirror, and then, well, all light headliner, and that's all for the top. Now here's our window sticker for the 2022 Pathfinder. Feel free to freeze a frame if you're going to read all of the equipment that this comes with from the factory. You guys can see everything there, and then also see the base price and then the total MSRP after options pretty much comes fully loaded. That's something that's cool about Nissan is they give pretty much everything as standard. But yeah, $43,475, and let's take it out and see how it drives. Let's talk about visibility here with the Pathfinder before we set off. There's your visibility over the hood. And then through both the mirrors, you've got blind spot monitoring. And then here's throughout the rest of the rear. Let's set off. We are setting off here in the all-new Pathfinder. And first off, let's talk about the road noise and the ride quality. So from a ride quality perspective, it actually rides very smooth. Definitely a huge plus and actually a pretty big surprise. I didn't expect it to ride as smooth as this is riding. And then from a road noise perspective, I put it at about average for the segment in terms of insulation and everything. Does a good job. And I mean, yeah, just at average with that. And then popping up here, we'll be able to see what turn-in is like with the Pathfinder. Steering super light. Hides its weight pretty well. It doesn't feel as big as it is, so that's definitely a pretty big plus as well. And this road's perfect for showing the ride quality because it hasn't been redone in quite some time. It's pretty beat up, as you guys can probably see through the camera. Yeah, suspension's really nice. I like how this drives. Definitely solid with that. And then in terms of the seat, it's very comfortable. The seat's very supportive, but then at the same time, it also is firm enough that you're not like sinking into it awkwardly. And then we'll see how we go over the train tracks. Yeah, soaks it up really well. Nissan did a great job with this new Pathfinder from a suspension standpoint. And we'll go over another set of train tracks so that we can see it again. This set of train tracks kind of gets bouncy a little bit. Yeah, they did a really good job with this. I'm very impressed. And the steering is super stable, so like it doesn't do any kind of weird back to back motion or anything like that. It's nice. It's definitely a nice driving experience. So we're going to get our full-blown acceleration here at the Pathfinder. I love the sound of that V6. Nissan really knows how to make engines sound good. All their V6s sound fantastic, and their V8s, ooh, definitely hits the spot. And that 9-speed automatic transmission is very quick. So if I pop it over into the manual mode, which all you have to do is just pull down the shifter, and then I use the paddles here. Yeah, super quick, super responsive with the paddles. Yeah, those downshifts are like super snappy. And you guys know I'm a huge fan of this transmission from that week that I had with the Nissan Titan Pro 4X. And yeah, this is not any different. It's just great. It's super quick, it's super smooth. And this is right where it needs to be for the segment, right? You've got Kia Telluride, Hyundai Palisade, you know, Dodge Durango V6, Jeep Grand Cherokee L, V6, all those that are, you know, somewhat similar size to this. And this is right where it needs to be from an acceleration standpoint to compete with all those vehicles. And again, in the manual mode, it's actually pretty fun because of how responsive that transmission is. And then you can pull the shifter again, and then it'll put it back in automatic mode. And then we'll go back into the auto mode. Oops, I went into snow by accident. But let's finish summing things up here with this Pathfinder. First off, definitely think it differentiates itself aesthetically on the outside. Looks really unique. Interior wise, I mean, this package is really nice. I've got really nice seats here. The touch points are nice, right? You've got leather pretty much all over, and definitely feels like a nice place to be. The seats are really comfortable. Just a great setup. I love the gauge cluster. Infotainment system works great, super responsive in terms of the touch time. And then from a driving perspective, it's smooth, it's quiet, it's comfortable. Acceleration's great, transmission's fantastic. It's super quick, super snappy to respond. And so overall, Nissan has done a really good job with this Pathfinder, and it's very reasonable from a price point perspective in this segment. So if you're looking for a third row SUV, check out the new Pathfinder. Now let's get some things up for our video on the 2022 Pathfinder. Again, a huge shout out and thank you to Tim Daly Nissan here in Murray, Utah for giving me some time with the Pathfinder. Check out their inventory in the link below. I will see all of you in that next video.